Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Max, and today I am going to be doing my review for Thor: Love and Thunder. Alright, so before we get into the review, this is going to be a non-spoiler review. I am not going to touch upon anything that wasn't shown in the trailers or talked about by any of the cast members or director. So don't worry about learning anything that's in the movie from this video, and for those of you who do want a spoiler review, I will be making one of those as well, and that should be out within the next couple days. So I was a little bit, I wouldn't say worried, but after seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, while I did enjoy, concepts that were in that movie, I think there were a few things that it definitely needed work on, and I was worried that Thor: Love and Thunder would have a little bit of the same issues. I'm happy to say that is not the case. If you are a fan of the Thor movies, particularly Thor Ragnarok, you will enjoy this movie. I would say it's not quite as lighthearted as Ragnarok in certain regards, but it is definitely carrying over that tone and that similar style, the similar take on Thor. And I think it's also a good, segue for the character from when we saw him in Ragnarok to his outings with the Avengers again, and then going into Love and Thunder. And speaking of character development for Thor, I think this movie did a really good job of tying in all of the storylines that we've seen with the character from before, because I feel like there's times where, of course, we have callbacks and we have, certain characters reoccurring and things like that. But with the character of Thor, it seems like there's always this need to reinvent the character a little bit, which I think is something that keeps the character interesting, but I know some people have had an issue with it. And I think this is definitely the movie that has found the best balance between, comedy, heart, action, life problems, and things like that. I think they do a really good job of blending together everything that we've seen from the character and really giving us this culmination of someone that we've seen in the MCU for over 10 years. With characters such as Iron Man and Captain America, obviously those stories have ended and they had their arcs, but I think it's really cool that we at least have Thor moving forward and, other characters as well, like Hulk. But Thor in particular, there's so much that character has dealt with in terms of, the different worlds that he deals with, the different kinds of people he deals with, because he is a god. And they did a great job of meshing the grounded aspects with the more fantastical to give us this new version of Thor that feels familiar in every way, but is also new because we haven't seen these different aspects of the character work this well together. And it's not kind of a reinvention as much as it is a realization of what I imagine would be like the full version of the character. Now, speaking of other characters in this movie, Christian Bale killed it as Thor the God Butcher. Christian Bale, I think everybody who's aware of Christian Bale knows that he is an incredible actor, and he can really fit himself into the role. Like, he becomes the role. And I really did not know much about Gore the God Butcher going into this movie, aside from the kind of general things that you would see on the internet. And, I had faith that Christian Bale would pull it off. I did not, however, expect to like this character as much as I did. I think there's certain characters in the MCU that kind of show up and they have their time and the time is good, but you don't necessarily need to see like an ongoing story with them or anything. And I was a little bit worried that Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher, to no fault of his own, would be one of those characters, just because it seemed like with the way the MCU is moving, it fleshing out newer characters, and I wasn't sure where things with Thor were going. I was a little bit worried that, this character would just kind of be like a piece in the story that would be there and it would be good for this movie, but it wouldn't really be significant in any way as much as it would be the typical, obstacle. But no, Gore the God Butcher is a really good character. Christian Bale did a phenomenal job. I think, everything in the movie, and again, I can't really go into it because this is a non-spoiler review, but everything in the movie that involved the character, I think, made sense. There was a good story to tell, and I think it was told extremely well in this film. Now, the other characters in the movie, I really don't feel like I can touch upon without going into spoilers. They're characters we've seen before, but a lot of the movie is this kind of story that you follow, and I feel like if I go into anything but the basics, which we've already been introduced to in other movies, I would get into spoiler territory. But what I will say is all of the returning characters are as great as they have been in the past. Just like with Thor, stories are elevated. There are, arcs. There's so much to look forward to, for this movie if you haven't seen it yet. And all the acting was great. I didn't have an issue with any of the acting or the story, set design, whatever. I think it all worked really well, and it gave us a story that fits well in the order of the Thor movies, like I said earlier, giving us this really good mix of grounded and fantastical that I have personally been looking for in the character, really setting him in this combination of who he has been over the past over a decade at this point. So overall, I would give this movie a 8.5 out of 10. I think it is a very solid Marvel Studios MCU entry into the world they have created. It elevates stories we have been following for years now, and it also brings some new elements into the MCU that we haven't seen before that I think could definitely carry over into the future of Marvel Studios. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I would say it's definitely a step up from Doctor Strange. Everybody likes what they like, but for me, that movie just had certain things about it that seemed a little bit disjointed. And Thor Love and Thunder definitely restored my faith in this idea of a Marvel Cinematic Universe that can still tell stories that are on their own, but connected in certain ways. And, not everything has to be like an Avengers Endgame type level. So that's about all I have for now. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.